All right, here comes Dawn. Let's admit her in. See if she goes for this.
Oh, good morning.
Morning. All right, this is episode 25, 17th of April 2020. Don't say anything. Intro music coming now. A little bit longer. There you go. Different technology today. I learned this today with the intro music, playing it through YouTube on my PC. Clashed a bit with Zoom, so I don't think the quality was good enough. Stumped everybody. Didn't even have any guesses at the intro music yesterday. But I think we all know that one, don't we, Dawn? What was that then?
I know the song, but don't ask me what it's called. It's ridiculous. I don't know.
Chariots of Fire music.
No, Chariots of Fire. Oh, yeah, just got the names. Just don't pop with me. I'm sorry. That's one of my weaknesses, dear.
Yeah, well, that was especially for Scott Shermer, who suggested it as it's a rousing music that always invokes great memories for him. Does it invoke any great memories for you? Not really.
Well, only the film.
Yeah. Well, on that, I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but I think it was 1979, the summer. I was 18 and I was due to do my exams, A-levels and stuff. And the Southern Counties Athletic Association wrote to a bunch of us, I guess it was about April time or something, to say, would we like to travel, I think it was to Scotland, to take part in some like auditions for this film. And as you do with sort of junk mail, I pretty much ignored it and thought, oh, well, no, I haven't got time to go to Scotland at 18 years old with exams coming up, and didn't bother. And it was Chariots of Fire running through the sea, with the opening sequences. So I don't know anybody who actually took that offer up and who ended up doing it, but obviously were some.
There were a few, weren't there, in the film, etc. Oh dear, you missed an opportunity. Never mind.
I did, yeah. So that was.
You're called fame. I could have been famous.
Yeah. I missed.
You're famous now anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I didn't even keep the letter, which is unlike me, isn't it? Really.
I'm surprised you haven't kept the letter.
Yeah. Anyway. We thought it was going to be a really quiet day yesterday with feedback. Not a lot happened during the first 3 quarters of the day, and we're getting a bit worried because nobody was watching or giving any feedback. It seemed to be everybody left it until late on, and we had a bit of feedback. Great feedback. We got some real loyal viewers, haven't we? That keep
a couple.
We want them to keep doing it. Otherwise, because I did actually say to you, should we bother keep going? But they lifted our spirits.
It's a real difficult one because I suppose at the end of the day, what we're missing what we normally do. So we're missing. It's not because we're missing because we don't, neither of us run. It's the people and being there just to support them, etc. And it's that sort of thing that you feel useless. Is the only way to describe it, because you can't do anything to help, because being isolated into your own home and only going out for the few reasons that you can, it's really difficult to sort of like keep in contact with people. I walk Oscar and I'm saying hello to total strangers, etc., that I've never seen before, because most of the people I usually meet when I walk Oscar are elderly.
Yeah. Well, that leads on to something we'll talk about in a minute. Let's get the feedback done. Firstly, just to clarify, Hubert in Canada, those 3 panels that I sort of showed the photograph of his fence yesterday, that wasn't the complete fence. He's taken down most of it, so it did throw us a little bit. So we couldn't give proper advice, but it looks like it's a project that's ongoing. All good relationship with the neighbours, so I slept a lot.
And it's to keep the deer out as opposed to anything else.
Something we don't have trouble with over here, really. But that's British Columbia for you. So, and he quite likes the tactic I have of writing down what you're doing in the day, how you're coping as a coping mechanism, give you some feeling of being worthwhile by the time you finished it.
I think like some, as I said, I mean, it's like you're doing a job and you aim at maybe 2 or 3 things that you're going to do during the day, etc. It doesn't matter whether you fail or not, and if you've completed one, you give yourself a little reward. You just do it with a tick. Well, I do it with a little bit of chocolate.
Yeah. He did have some views on the, I mean, for a Canadian, we call it, he's British really, but he's got some strong views on the Premier League football, with the season ending, as you suggested, and relegation and everything happening. So not being completely void, but going ahead with where people are in the divisions now.
I just feel to relegate people, it will be slightly unfair because they haven't been able to complete the matches. So hence the reason why, if I said, right, where we are today, we'll take it, and nobody's relegated or promoted, and then you start again fresh. And that's although they've done some work, they've not done all the work. And I'm a great believer in then you can't reward partial effort, you have to reward full effort.
Oh, very good. Well, he's such a great guy, Hubert. I mean, he's a Bournemouth fan, and even with his own suggestion, they would be relegated. That's what a great guy he is. So
yeah,
you know, he's taking one for the better cause, if you like. Then we had Grazia, and she was talking about acts of kindness and how little acts of kindness make people's day, and something we'll talk about in a minute. And it made me think a lot. Brilliant, because she was talking about when she lost her cat earlier a few months ago, and she was in a foul mood because of it, really fed up, and had to go to work that day, and just mentioned it in passing. She had to go in meetings, just wasn't in the spirit of things. And then almost a total stranger at work bought her some flowers and a card, and she said she'd never forget that. And it was just so good that somebody just out of the blue went out of their way to do something like that, and changed her whole perception of the day and week, actually. So yeah, it was that sort of thing's good. Anything to say on that at the moment?
No, not really.
Just touched.
I'm touched. I think it is nice to be kind.
Yeah, no, it is. And Scott Shermer, he said he's had a much better day yesterday. He went for a run and had some chocolate, and yeah, it all made a big difference to him, and he feels a lot better. So that's great. Great news for Scott. And talking of acts of kindness, she didn't really know she was doing an act of kindness, but I went on a walk yesterday, and cycling by was Tracy Horn, who we hadn't heard of on here. And she could have just said hello, but she didn't. She shouted back at me, "Love the videos, Mark." So I thought that was really nice. And then she added a comment on Facebook saying, what did she say? She said, must get this right, a slice of normality. That's what you want.
Well, if you could call either of us normal, that would be... we'd take that.
Having said that, it is tough for people. We had a bit of a tough day with 1 or 2 people yesterday, didn't we? A bit of everyone's all right. Worth pointing out, GPs are operating, aren't they? Because
yeah,
phoned them up. We got a nice phone call back from the doctor, and they are operating. It was on the news today that people shouldn't ignore situation, should
No,
they?
I mean, it may be that you have to wait a couple of weeks for an actual appointment and be able to go into the surgery to see the doctor, but that probably isn't any longer than you would normally anyway. If I ring up my doctors, I'll be lucky to get an appointment. Not that I have in the last few years. I can't remember the last time I went to the doctors. I was thinking about that, but I think it's either a reluctance to actually sort of put any more pressure on the health service, or that they've got concerns about going into the surgery. They don't, people who are sick are more likely could have the virus, and it's a difficult one, isn't it? Really, why the reluctance is there, but I believe that if you've got a system, that you should use it, and a phone call isn't actually going into the surgery, and luckily, but I do think, sometimes if you think about it, if we're all sitting at home and we've been sitting at home for 3 weeks, 21 days, and we haven't gone out for a walk or something like that, we could all be go stir crazy by now, couldn't we? Let's be honest like that. And the least little thing that happens is like blown out of proportion, isn't it? And you just need someone to sort of like comfort you and bring it into perspective, really. No hugs, of course, but you can still help other people, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I went on a walk yesterday, and it was 90 minutes, and I saw 3 people I knew. Must have lost 20 minutes just talking, and that's it's Tracy that I mentioned. I didn't stop because she was cycling, but then I saw Jason Barton, had a good chat with him, and then Russell McIntyre phoned me up, and that got me through quite a bit of walk and sitting on a log for a while. So I came back feeling a lot better for having spoken to them and also doing the walk. So I think sometimes people don't realise how those contacts make a difference. And this was my main subject today, of really little acts of kindness or little acts of thoughtfulness can make a big difference to people. You mentioned something my mum said, didn't you?
Oh yeah, your mum, because I'm doing her shopping a little bit. There's only a few bits and pieces that she needs, so I said, well, I'll do them. You don't have to go out. And then she said to me, oh, is there anything I could do for you and Mark? Is there, can I help Nicole or Dominique or something like that? And I really, at that time, couldn't think of anything that she could do. She'd sewn a little badge on for the next door neighbour's little girl and things like that. So she just feels, useful as well. So, I mean, it might not be a lot, but she felt as if she'd done something and she'd contributed. So I think it's that sort of feeling that you need if you're sort of like isolated at home, etc. And because your mum lives on her own, I mean, I phone her maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Try not to phone every day and pester the living daylights out of her. And again, with my parents, I do the same. But they've got lots of phone calls coming in because they've got more children. So it's good to keep in touch, and it might only be 5 minutes, but it brightens up their day.
Yeah. Well, anyone got any badges want sewing on? Let me know.
Good at sewing.
I'll reveal where my mum lives. You can drop them outside her front gate, and we'll get them sorted. That keep her busy. Yeah, and on that, a couple of things I had to do yesterday. One is the running hub in Southborough. Dave there's trying to keep his business going and offering a free delivery of running kit locally, and so trying to put people onto him. And also there was a girl from Cranbrook School doing a survey and wanted feedback. And quite a few people would normally just ignore these things, but if they can help at all with any of those sorts of requests that are knocking around, I think it would make such a difference to those people. So yeah, I quite liked what Nicole said last night, that her and her friend Zara, the first one who's up in the morning texts the other and just says, happy April the whatever it is, 17th or whatever.
Yeah.
check on each other. I quite like that. I also, when she was telling me, I'd made a note of 2 or 3 people I'm going to make sure I phone today, that it's been probably 10 days since I had a chat with them. So all those sorts of things. It was quite sweet. I mean, I see Alex, eldest son, quite regularly when he's training at the club, etc. But he never would phone me up. But he did the other day, and that he doesn't realise how important that was to me. Whether he ever sees this or not, I don't know. But that was quite touching. You know what they're like.
Well, they get busy. I mean, I must admit, when I was probably in my 20s, I mean, I was just starting in my career, and I was extremely busy. I was working sort of like 10, 12 hours a day. And I probably wouldn't even think about ringing my parents on a regular basis. But I mean, when I had the children, of course, that all changed. I mean, we saw them so regularly because I think it's so important for the children to see their grandparents. I think the knowledge that they have and the care and the love, I mean, you can't ever you can't replace that. And I was unlucky enough not to have any grandparents. All of mine had either passed away or didn't like girls. That was my dad's dad. And so at the end of the day, I found it sort of like very isolating as a child, because we didn't go and see our grandparents because we didn't have anyone to go and see. And so that's why I think it's so important. And I'm a great believer in family anyway. So I do think you should keep in touch.
And also, I'm just going to finish on this one. Something I thought about because of this subject yesterday is I belong, as you know, to a number of Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups, and I email people regularly and this, that and the other. And you're putting things out there to the masses on a regular basis. And huge majority don't reply. But it does mean a lot to people when a few do chip in. You know, whether it be signing up for something you've suggested, or just giving a bit of feedback, or just checking in you're all right and making that effort. I'm quite surprised. I mean, you're not a great one for, typing anything out, but you just started doing it a little bit more recently, haven't you? But everyone, each to their own. But
yeah,
I think it does make a difference to the people that are putting the ideas and thoughts out there to get a little bit of feedback, even if it is thanks very much, I've read it and glad you're all right.
I think it's quite difficult. I mean, some people I'll send a text to, and they don't answer immediately because they're my generation, and I haven't got my phone constantly attached to my ear or my hand. But when you're younger, you do. Sometimes they just read it and don't really think that it applies to them or something. I don't know, but they don't answer, and there's frustration or great text, I'll have a think about it, come back to you later. They wouldn't think about typing that, etc., would they? So it is quite difficult.
I think most people watching this are probably very, very nice people, though, don't you?
I should think so. I mean, we've got about 3 followers, haven't we?
No, from what I've seen, there's very nice, thoughtful people out there.
Oh God, don't get me wrong, there are some lovely people out there. I mean, I'm surprised every single day about the acts of kindness. I know one gentleman who I meet when I walk Oscar, and I always say hello and have a little chat with him. He delivers about 5 or 6 different houses their newspaper, because all of them are elderly and they can't get out. So he goes to the garage, gets the paper, and then delivers to each one of them. I mean, he doesn't have to. He does it.
Well,
he's a lovely man.
I hope once they get them delivered, they're putting them straight in the oven to kill off the germs. That's what I read somebody was doing yesterday.
Well, he's not. I haven't seen him for about a week now, so I suspect he's not delivering the newspaper because he's probably thought about it and thought, no, this is too dangerous. I won't do it any longer while the coronavirus is on, because he's delivering to vulnerable people.
Right, everyone, that's great. Thanks very much for Dawn. It'd be great to have any feedback, a little acts of kindness, not bigging yourselves up, but what you've noticed others do, that would be terrific. But anything that's made a difference, feed it back, give us all a lift, and hope you all have a good Friday. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, see you then. Bye.
Bye.